Hello, everybody. This is Tev, or Terrence, with Tev's Next Idea, and it is a Tuesday night, and we are continuing our stream of Higurashi, When They Cry Who, the Japanese horror visual novel that is really just me reading a story about four girls with very little choices. Uh, Last time, you may or may not recall. The only thing I really remember last time is that Rena was acting a little bit strange as I was continuing the investigation, and she may have been listening at my door. So we don't know what she knows. We don't know who she is. Everyone in this town is just very secretive. We know we got a dead photographer, a missing woman, and who knows what. We got the cute counter there, so whenever Rena does something that's cute, which she's being kind of ugly lately, so I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will increase that. As always, if you have missed a playthrough before, everything's posted on my YouTube channel, and that address is right there in the description where you can see those previous streams, and the address for the YouTube channel is in the description of the entire page. And I also just started setting up a YouTube channel specifically for Tev's Next Idea, so hopefully the next few weeks we'll have that up. Okay, we're going to continue, and we need to go to the next page because that was the end of chapter 8, I think, and we're starting chapter 9. Load, yes. Okay, so I don't think we have any new tips. We saw those tips last time, yes. Okay. And continue. I can remember all these voices. I actually wrote the names down, so I have the names in front of me. Weariness and a headache. Not a very nice way to start the day. What's wrong, Keichii? You don't look so well. When did you go to sleep? It seemed that my mom hadn't noticed my sullen state. Yesterday, I kept on waking up in the middle of the night. Without a doubt, I felt a presence. I felt the presence of someone standing in front of my door. Could it be Rena? I told myself repeatedly that it was my imagination and forced myself to try and sleep. Except, not being able to stand it, I gathered up my courage and opened the door. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I think I did this 3 times throughout the night. Or maybe I just didn't remember doing it any more than that. Even though I was able to get to the breakfast table without incident, I still didn't feel at ease. Because he never took a bathroom break during any of those times, which he should have, so that's why he was not at ease. Too scared about what might be standing out there. It might be a cold. I don't really have an appetite. My, you do seem a little warm. Well, can you make it to school and get all the other kids sick? Technically, I did go to a school, but it was mostly self-study because the inmates are running the prison there. It wouldn't matter much if I missed a day, would it? It could have been that I hadn't been feeling well for the last few days because I really did have a cold. If I took some medicine and got a good day of rest, I might be able to greet everyone with a smile tomorrow. Ding dong! Startled, I looked back and forth between the entrance and the clock. It was 10 minutes later than when I usually met up with Rena. It was Rena stalking me. Rena-chan came to get you. What are you going to do? Are you going to take the day off? Rena was a good girl, except when she was making weird noises and acting all crazy like. She might be somewhat quirky, but she certainly was cute. No, that doesn't get a tick. The lunches she made were delicious, and she always looked out for me. Why should I be so scared of something like that? It wasn't Rena's fault. It was probably mine. It had to have been my cold. It just had to be. I'll rest. Sorry. Then I'll go send her off for you. Mom headed off to the door. I would have to pass by the entrance to get back to my room. I didn't have the nerve to meet with Rena, so I wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa and closed my eyes. I was so sleep deprived, I quickly fell into a deep slumber. I had only intended to lie down for a bit, but it was almost noon when I woke up. I called out to my parents, but they didn't seem to be around. On the table, I found a lunch prepared and a note. Mom and Dad had apparently driven off to somewhere far away. It likely had to do with Dad's work. Dear Keichii, we're going far away. Have a fun lunch. This happened every so often, so it wasn't that unusual. They would probably be back sometime after dinner. On the note, it said, the insurance card is in the cabinet. Take it and go to the hospital. Well, that's great. Your teenage son is sick at home, and you're sending him off to the hospital by himself with the insurance card. I could be wrong. Well, no, I guess if you did go to the emergency room when you were young, they would still have to take you in. But someone needs to sign for all the permission or for all the consents. There was also a well-drawn map to the hospital. That's right. I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know exactly where it was. I had a light lunch, although it really was just leftovers from the morning, and just in case, went to the hospital. I'm not that sick. I'm really not that sick. Normally, I'd never be here in the middle of a weekday. Just walking around like this had me feeling guilty. It was an odd feeling. Following my mom's map, I took a road I usually never used. After walking for a bit, the hospital sign came into view. Erie Clinic was written rather stylishly on the sign. Or Iria? You told me something about you pronounce every vowel. The clinic wasn't very big, but based on the scale of the rest of Hinamizawa, it was far too grand. There was a parking lot and even a reserve spot for buses. They must be making a mint. I spaced out in the air-conditioned waiting room until it was my turn to be seen. My Abrason, please make your way to the examination room. I need a voice for that. After properly answering all of the chatty doctor's questions, he responded with the old, "It's probably a cold." They gave me a shot and 3 days worth of medicine. For a cold? I thought it was a little overboard, but if it would clear away the gloomy feeling I've been having lately, then it was worth it. Yeah. I settled the bill and took a quick trip to the washroom. As I was leaving, I overheard a conversation between some elderly people who seemed to be regulars at the clinic. Yeah, let's do our old Tuesday afternoon trip down to the clinic just to hang out for a while. See the young men that come in to get checked out. Of course, I had no intention of eavesdropping, but I did anyway. If it wasn't for that word, must have been an onakakushi. Onakakushi. I wonder, she was still pretty young. Might have just eloped. With whom? That man from Tokyo who visits every season. That young one with the big camera. Didn't you know they were getting along pretty well? Were they talking about Tomotaki-san? Do you know any other guys from out of town with a camera who is hanging out with a pretty young woman? They're all over the place. I could feel my ears perking up. I don't know about that, but you have to make preparations before you elope. Leave a note or quit their job or something. We're going to elope to get married, so let's just quit our job. And to be fair, isn't eloping kind of so you don't have to make all those preparations? It's an elopement because they didn't leave a note or message. The thought that I'll never see that young nurse's face again makes me rather sad. Oh, she was a nurse. Tanako-san is an upstanding young woman. She'll be fine wherever she goes. So her name was Takano-san, that woman with Tomataki-san? And she worked at this clinic. Oyashiro-sama's shadow was following me everywhere I went. I started listening more closely. I started eavesdropping more closely, but they began talking about fishing, and it didn't seem like they were going to revisit the topic. So I gave up and left. Thus, even though I was separated from the daily monotony of school, I wasn't able to escape from Oyashiro-sama's shadow. But of course, Oyashiro-sama was the guardian deity of this place, of Hinamizawa. As long as I was in Hinamizawa, I wouldn't be able to escape. Back on the road. Maybe it's because I was walking outside, but my appetite had suddenly returned. I might as well buy a snack with the change from the examination fee on the way home. Hold on. So I take an insurance card. I give them my insurance, but then I paid anyway? I guess so. I guess you do have a copay. But it didn't say that Mom and Dad left me money. They said they left me an insurance card. So here's the insurance card, son. Pay for everything else with your own money. Contemplating that, I turned onto a familiar street. At that moment, I heard a car horn abruptly honk behind me. Yeah, was it Mr. Investigator guy? Was I really walking so far in the middle of the road where I'd be in a car's way? I moved farther off to the side, but the horn was still honking at me. I turned around, peeved. Oh yeah, Maebra-san, good day to you. It was Oishi-san. He stepped out of his car, AC on full blast, and waved at me. What's up today? Oh, what's up today? School on break? Just not feeling well, so I took the day off. I was about to buy lunch and head back home. That's great. I'm just about to get lunch myself. Would you mind going together? If you're not feeling up for it, then don't mind me. I was just going to lie down after going home anyway. I didn't really have a cold. I doubt you'd want to eat at one of these local places. Let's go into town. Oh, it's a bit of a drive. Is that all right? I know a pretty good place. Actually, Didge, insurance has not really changed much. I mean, maybe the amounts you pay, what they cover, but the way that it works, it's pretty much the same as it has been. I'd finally begun to understand Oyashi-san's roundabout way of saying things. And I don't know if his voice has changed since the last time I spoke about him, but this is the voice I'm going with tonight. He probably wanted to talk to me about stuff that would be difficult to discuss while in Hinamizawa. You also notice I went back to the updated graphics, although I will admit the original ones did grow on me, and they were very expressive. So we might go back to them at some time in the future. I don't know how much more of this game we have in this chapter, but we'll see. I went with Oishi-san riding in his British car. Okay, you heard that. It was almost as if the bright sunlight outside was a lie. I'm sorry about calling you so late last night. Did your parents get angry at you? No. I recalled Rena, who had been listening to the phone conversation all that time, separated from me by just the door. Even now, in the brightness of the sunlight, the thought still creeped me out. With a big bump that jolted the car, the road connected to the city changed from dirt to pavement. My head swiveled back with a sudden realization. That's right. This was where Tomataki-san died. They've hit a snag in the investigation regarding Tomataki-san. Oishi-san spoke while peering at me from the corner of his eye. They believe it was caused by hallucinogens, given how he was clawing out his own throat. But a drug that could cause that to happen so suddenly is extremely hard to come by. Bear in mind, of course, the autopsy was done with that premise in mind, but we didn't find any leads. That is not the voice I used. You know that thing you see in comics all the time? Where there's a drug that if you put it in them, it doesn't leave any traces? It exists! Sucking a glycol something or other. Well, it's pretty common. But you see, there doesn't seem to be any kind of drug that would cause Tamataki-san to react like that. Then, you're saying the police concluded Tamataki-san just died from the curse? I couldn't help but feel that the police were worthless. I just wanted the idea of a curse to be disassociated with Tamataki-san's mysterious death. Unfortunately, that's how it looks right now. But putting aside the cause of death, without a doubt, he was surrounded by a group of people, and he had taken a beating before he died. That was no curse, but an incident that unquestionably involved other humans. That made me a bit relieved. We passed in front of the rather desolate, but still busier than Hinamizawa train station. The car pulled into a restaurant parking lot, and I followed Oishi-san into the shop. It was pretty crowded, but they were only adults at this hour. Of course there wouldn't be children in here in the middle of a weekday. 2, please. Non-smoking. This way, please. When you are ready to order, please call me over. We were led by a peculiarly dressed waitress to our table. I sat with Oishi-san in the booth. So, what do you think? Aren't the waitresses' outfits here cute? I'm a kid. Huh? Well, I guess. This shop is always quite busy. It's more about the waitresses and the food, you see. Oh, it's Hooters! Uh-huh. Oishi-san, you're leering. Am I really? Sorry, Japanese Hooters. Regardless of how the waitresses looked, the food was decent enough. Finishing our meals while talking about some inane topic, Oishi-san's after-meal cup of coffee arrived at the table. Yesterday, we talked about Hinamizawa's past, didn't we? Yeah? That it was the village of man-eating demons or something like that. I didn't know much about it myself, so I asked my grandmother about it this morning. Oishi-san took out the notepad that was stuffed into his breast pocket. Turns out that Hinamizawa used to be called Onagafushi, or Ogre's Abyss. Onagafushi? That's quite the name. The name is still around. The marsh where the Shinto priest's wife drowned herself is still called Ogre's Abyss. Anime Hooters. Here we go. or if it's Japanese, would that be Hooters? It's said that the depths of that marsh connect to the realm of demons. Of course, nobody told me anything about such an ominous marsh, nor did they tell me about the man-eating spirits, nor did they tell me about the murders, nor did they tell me about the mysterious deaths. They told me nothing. They just brought me to this good-for-nothing town. And you see, it appears they were both feared and revered. A respect born of fear, I guess you could say it was kind of a deification. A village of inhuman creatures. Seems the demons were Senin or mountain-dwelling mystics of sorts. Taking villagers with incurable illnesses into the Ogre's Abyss and healing them, for example. Even if we are calling them demons, Tengu long-nosed goblins or Senin would be a more apt description. Tengu, not Tengun. Tengu long-nosed goblins or Senin would be a more apt description. Does anyone know what that stuff is? I guess if you come from Japan. They don't seem like such terrible people, even though they were called demons. Is that me or is that him? But they were still man-eating demons, according to the... But they were still man-eating demons. According to the story my grandmother told me, as payment for treating the son's illnesses, let us eat the mother who brought him here, was apparently how things went. Hold on. So I have a cold. I don't want to be cured. The price of curing her son was herself. Now that's a little bit selfless. That's unsettling and selfless. Of course, the mother took her son and ran. Then you see, all the people who lived in Onagafuchi, the demons chased them down, rounded them up, and captured them. Oh, so now the mother's getting the entire town in trouble. The entire village, apparently. That's quite a frightening thing to imagine. Yet, it's still here. In the end, it seems both the mother and son were caught and eaten. The end. So then what's the point? Get cured to get eaten? There's a problem with this story. Both witnesses in the story were eaten, so nobody would be able to tell the tale. Huh? There are plenty of old fables like this. In contrast to the ghastly tale, Oishi-san laughed heartily while sipping his coffee. But, well, there are quite a few other tales where the demons from Onagafuchi band together to capture their prey. I recall that Mion said all the villagers united and fought against the damn construction. The damn construction. I saw similarities with how that part about unification overlapped. So now the people are demons. I am going to school with 4 little demons. Maybe that's why Rena was wigging out. She's really a demon. Or possessed by demons. Normally, they hunted down a single person, and they chose who it was going to be beforehand. Huh? That caught my attention. Oishi-san also appeared to be pondering what it meant. My grandmother told me you must never interfere with a demon's hunt. You should just hole up in your house and hide under the covers, she said. So, what does this all mean? It means you mustn't ever help or protect the prey. As long as you don't disturb the demon's hunt, no harm will fall upon the villagers. It seems there's that kind of rule. Basically, don't help the victims. Pretend you didn't see the atrocities, in other words. What happens if you break the rule? Well, they're man-eating demons, after all. There's the rub. I'm a boy. Many parts of that tale caught my attention. Parts of the story he told me overlapped with his theory that the perpetrators were all the village families. Even if it wasn't the whole village, it was conceivable that the villagers were hiding under the covers and leaving them to die when there's a group that was on their hunt, wasn't it? I didn't dare speak it. Then Oishi-san, it looks like it's either the villagers' family or a group of villagers perpetrating the crimes. What do you think, Maebra-san? I just told you. Excuse me. Another cup of coffee, please. That's what I wanted to know. It seemed that we were both waiting for the other to say that last part. I waited for the waitress to finish pouring coffee before speaking. Last year, I had a nagging feeling when Satoshi-kun disappeared. Is this me or is this him? Oh, there we go. Last year, I had a nagging feeling when Satoshi-kun disappeared, Oishi-san muttered as he watched the milk swirl around in his coffee. So those friends of Satoshi-san, meaning your group of friends, Maebra-san, I had a bit, really, just a little bit, okay, of background checking done on them. If Oishi-san had said this to me before, I would have been furious, since he told me earlier not to suspect my friends. But as I was as now, I couldn't. This might sound pretty stupid, Maebra-san. If you feel that it's stupid, please say so. I'll just stop. Will you? Oishi-san was wearing the most serious expression that I'd ever seen from him. It was as if he was telling me to prepare myself and listen. There were quite a few things I regretted hearing from Oishi-san, but none of them were as threatening as this. A little voice inside me was screaming like an alarm. Get out. Stop, Keichii. This was probably the last one. I took a deep breath and silenced that voice. I would not run from the truth. Please. That was all I could utter. Oishi-san stared into my eyes silently for a few moments. After he was certain I was ready, he began. The victim of the incident the first year was the overseer. A few weeks prior, he had an altercation with Mian Sonozaki-san. Multiple altercations. Oishi-san had said before that Mian had defied the dam project vehemently. Well, it wasn't hard to imagine how'd she be if she got worked up. But she's like 16 freaking years old. And this is the first incident, so this was 5 years ago. She was like 10 years old. What the heck could she have done when she was 10? In the second year, the married couple who supported the project died in their accident, right? They had a daughter. Her name was Satoko Huju-san. Huh? Satoko? Meaning Satoko? Oishi-san's look told me that my voice was too loud. You know, my wife tells me that all the time. I realized it as well and quickly quieted down. The Shinto priest and his wife who died in the third year, you see. Their daughter is Rika Furude-san. Okay. So are these kids staying alone? Is Satoko and Rina, they living by themselves? Have they ever invited me over? I think they had. Rika-san was the housewife. Oh, Rika, not Rena. Rika, yeah. The housewife who died in the fourth year. You know already, don't you? It was the step-aunt of Satoko Huju-san. Okay, another Satoko. She was in her aunt and uncle's custody, as she had lost both of her parents in the accident. So maybe this demon is targeting the kids. She lived in the victim's house. I could tell my lips were getting dry. I didn't even have the wits to keep my mouth from hanging agape. I had thought it was nothing but a bizarre incident, one that I could easily distance myself from. But clicking and clacking, it had snuck all the way to my feet. Huh? The one who disappeared the fourth year? By the way, he was Satoko-san's older brother. Okay. So Tomitaki-san, who was he related to? He did hang out with us, and Mian only had a confrontation with the supervisor or the overseer at the dam. She wasn't related to him. Goodness. What? Just wait a second. It took everything I had to finally say that. I gulped down a glass of water and once again wiped my face with a napkin. Calm down, Keichii Maebra. But Oishi-san was relentless. Instead of waiting for me to finish sorting out my feelings, he started speaking again. The last of the things I shouldn't have heard. All of the victims seem to be connected to your group of friends. That has to be just a coincidence. Maebra-san, keep it down. Everyone's looking. Mian? Satoko? Rika-san? So, what if they're connected? You're telling me all of my friends? It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. Oh, Rena is different, isn't she? Rena isn't connected with the victims at all. Oh no, she is the victim. Rena Ryugu-san was living in the suburb of Ibaraki Prefecture up until last year. Well, it's true she hadn't directly met any of the victims. He said it in a roundabout way. Is he saying she's also connected? Yeah, she's the demon. Actually, I looked into her. Before Ryugu-san moved away to Hinamizawa, she was suspended from school. It seems she went through her school building and broke all of the windows. Rena did that? She broke all the windows at her school? That same silly Rena had... I couldn't even imagine it. It seems that after 3-day suspension, she didn't return to school. She went to the neurologist and was diagnosed with dysautonomia? Dysautonomia. Yeah, and my wife's a nurse. She would know this. She was given weeks of counseling and medication. Okay, we've got to take a step here. That's how my wife talks to me. She will tell me to massage her feet, but it's not massage her feet. It's, can you massage the exterior pterocarpal or whatever it is? I'm like, what? Say it in English. She thinks I know medical speak. I wonder if it was something like a nervous breakdown. I'd heard that it happens to people who are really methodical or overly sensitive or extremely sensitive to cuteness. Neither of those match Rena's easygoing personality. And in the counselor's medical report, he recorded all of the conversations he had with Rena-san. It shows up, and quite a bit of that. What did? I pressed forward carelessly. There couldn't be anything more for me to regret. She mentioned the word Oyashiro-sama. It felt like someone's stolid, cold hand was caressing my back. Why had Rena spoken of Oyashiro-sama before even coming to Hinamizawa? Seems that the Oyashiro-sama she spoke of was like a ghost appearing in her house every night. She is possessed, standing over her pillow, looking down at her. My mind froze. I couldn't process what I was being told. Oh, yes, I can. After a while, she moved to Hinamizawa. Ah, that's right. She's not an outsider. Huh? According to their residency register, the Ryugu family used to reside in Hinamizawa. Rena-san moved to Ibaraki right after she finished elementary school. My mind went completely blank. It was similar to the static you see on a blank TV channel. Poltergeist! My ears began ringing as I lost all sense of comprehension. Maebra-san, are you all right? Shall we stop? A long time ago, buddy. A long time ago. Those words brought me back. I couldn't tell. I could let it. I could not let it end here. Now I understand, Rena. Then how about the last victim, Tomataki-san? Who was he connected with? Irritated, I let out one final reprisal. All of them! Have you forgotten, Maebra-san? Didn't you all spend the night of the festival together quite merrily? Quite a few of the officers saw you enjoying yourselves. Now there was nothing I could respond with. I fell silent as my brain turned to mush and dribbled out my nose. The next victim of Oyashiro-sama. We should get going. Maebra-san, did you take your afternoon medicine? I had completely forgot about the medicine I had gotten today until Oyashiro-san said that. I got another glass of water and we left the shop after I chugged it down. We got in the car and returned to Hinamizawa via the rough road. I never really paid attention when I was on my bike, but did cars normally shake this much? It was almost as if the road was desperately trying to tell me something. Boom! That big jolt was from a difference in elevation of the road when it changed from cement to dirt. I was certain that I heard Tomataki-san scream. I sat in silence, just letting myself be shaken by the car. I'll drop you off at your house. You missed school because you were ill, correct? My apologies for the long conversation. Did I seem ill? I'm ill now. Why did you talk to me? I blurted out the question. Really, just blurted it out. I didn't expect an answer. I did check with you first, didn't I? If we should just stop. Not that. Why did you reach out to me, like, in the first place? I understood quite well that Oishi-san was investigating this string of suspicious incidents. But why was he telling me all this? I knew nothing, and I couldn't help. And I'm getting freaked out. Everything Oishi-san spoke of was news to me. First of all, what could I, having just moved here, know? By chance, if there was a reason for Oishi-san to reach out to me, then it would have to be that I looked suspicious to Oishi-san, as I was part of Mion's circle of friends. Or he just figured to get a jump on the case file for when I go missing. Talk to him now, have all this background, and maybe it'll help. I'm retiring this year. I plan on moving away after retiring, as my grandma wants. So, while I'm still on the case, I want to bring the truth behind this incident to light. So, Oishi-san, you suspect them, don't you? All of them? Oishi-san didn't really give a response. It felt a little late, but I thought was his way of showing a bit of consideration for my feelings. This is mostly my intuition from 30 years on this job. Maebra-san, you're the one who's in danger. Huh? I wanted to reply with, that was absurd, but in my downtrodden state, I couldn't bring myself to say it. I'll be retiring this year, so I won't be at the Watanagashi next year. So I want to settle things. In other words, he was insinuating that on the next Watanagashi, I might be the victim. I've been warned by the chief as well. Each incident in the string of cases has been solved, so don't bring it up again. Or so I was told. This is the pressure that I'm facing. Pressure? From what? Well, from who? Someone in Hinamizawa. We've arrived. Is this fine? Okay, turn this down just a tiny bit. After some time, the car finally reached the path to my house. The clock read 2 p.m. I was surprised so little time had passed since we ate. It was hot outside the car. The chirping of the Higurashi hurt my ears. I won't mind if you just forget everything I told you today, but I'm still going to keep investigating. I'll end Oyashiro-sama's curse this year. So you're saying I should contact you if anything happens? It's fine. Just contact me when you feel you have to, Maebra-san. I wasn't collected enough to understand Oishi-san's roundabout way of saying it. Be sure to take it easy. I'm sorry for throwing all this at you while you're taking the day off because you're sick. I didn't really give any sort of response. I'll always be on your side. If anything, believe that. I'll be off now. The tires crunched over the dirt road as the car made a U-turn and disappeared into a cloud of kicked-up dust. I felt like I was watching a boat only throw me a lifesaver in shark-infested waters before disappearing into the distance. That was the first time I thought Oishi-san was being unfair. That was the first time? How about this whole thing? Hey, watch your friends. Hey, don't say anything to them. Hey, keep this all a secret. Hey, let me tell you about all these deaths. Hey, I didn't want to bother you while you were sick. Telling me I was going to be the next victim. They're just saying him to contact him if something happened. Hey, Oishi-san, I'm dead. This wasn't a criminal investigation. He was fishing, and I was just the bait dangling off the line. Would the fish be the perpetrator? Or was it really just Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, the bait would be swallowed whole. Damn it! I don't want to die. Who does? For some time, I could do nothing but stare at the puddle of water left behind by the AC from the car. Higurashi when they cry. Well, I'm about to let's see. Do I have a tip? Please tell me I got a tip. Or is this going to go into the next stupid chapter? It's going to go into the next chapter. Okay. I wonder how much time... Okay. let me just pause here for a second. Hopefully this next chapter doesn't take too terribly long. We're at 41 minutes already, but and it's 8:30. Okay, I got time. In these type of stories, when you watch these in the movies, what's going to happen is this cop is investigating the whole thing. He's befriended you, you're helping him. Events go on, and then like the last scene of the movie, you set up with a meeting with him or something. You go over to, I don't know, the house he's supposed to be meeting at, the business, whatever. You open up the door, and you go, Aishi? Aishi? It's Keichii Maebra. Are you there? You go through a few rooms, you open up a door, and there he is, splayed on the bed, cut from top to bottom, bleeding all over the place, his guts poured out, the latest victim. And you scream. End of the scene. I'm expecting something like that to happen. I wonder how much time has passed since I laid down. It was getting dark outside. My body was soaked in sweat. It would probably be a good idea to change my sheets. At that moment, the phone downstairs rang. It was probably Mom. Mom was quite the worrywart, but not so much to leave me alone while I'm sick. Maybe she had called many times, but I just didn't notice it. Hello, this is the Maebra residence. Oh, he's alive. Hello, this is Mion. How are you doing? Is this one of Keichii's friends? Oh, okay, this is Mom? Okay. Is this one of Keichii's friends? Keichii is resting now, but shall I put him on? When does he get home? Huh? Is this his dad? No, it's his mom. Sorry. Bwahahaha, idiot. It was me. You fell for it. Okay. We need, like, avatars when all these are going on, so I know who it is. Huh? Keichii! After our exchange, we both had a good laugh together. Except, I was suspicious of her even as we were laughing. Was everybody really involved in the incidents? The fact that I couldn't say no saddened me. I'm relieved that you seem well. Rena was really worried, you know. Satoko-san was happy and said you got what you deserved. Rika-san said, how unfortunate he's sick. Hey, looks like everyone was making a big deal out of it. Well, you know, Soki-san, is now a bad time to come pay you a visit? A visit? No, it's okay. It's not like I'm dying. Yet. My grandma made a ton of mushi, you see. I was told to share them, so I'll bring you some. Hey, now, you'll catch my cold. Not to worry. Both Rena and I are too stupid to catch a cold. What? See you. Be there in a bit. She hung up cheerfully. Rena's coming too? That's what it sounded like. I was still concerned about meeting Rena, but I guess if she was with Mion. Ding dong. I heard the doorbell 10 minutes later. Oh, this is fun. How are you feeling? Did you take your medicine and rest? I did just that. Thank goodness you look well. I was worried. Sorry, I'll be fine by tomorrow. Mion showed a complete lack of concern for someone who's recovering, and Rena looked like she was worried about me from the bottom of her heart. It didn't look like there was anything behind those expressions. I thought we might hang out for a bit, but it looks like you're not quite in the condition for it. You don't say. It seemed my face appeared a bit sullen. Then here, Keichii-kun. These are the mochi Mi-chan's grandma made. Rena held out the package wrapped in newspaper, because that's a nice sanitary way to travel with food. Get black ink all over it. There might be about 5 in here. It was quite hefty. Ah, thanks. Send my regards to your grandma, Mion. Yep. Ah, There's one that I made in there as well. I wonder if Keichii-kun can guess which one. The one with blood all over it? This is Kei-chan's homework since he missed the club meeting today. There are letters on each mochi, so I'll ask you tomorrow. Were you checking to see if I was feeling better? Or did you just come here for club activities? One-track mind. Yep, looking fine. I guess you'll be able to make it tomorrow. Man, what are you going to do if my fever comes back because of your shenanigans? Mi-chan, shouldn't we shouldn't be making such a racket. Let's go. The other people here will get angry. Both of them thought my parents were home. It was because the entranceway was a mess. You're right. Let's get going. Ah, by the way, Kei-chan. Yeah? What did you eat for lunch? The sudden question startled me, and I went wide-eyed when I saw Mion. I had never seen her like that. It was a highly unsettling visage. But why is she asking me about what I ate for lunch? What she said was so inane, it was almost meaningless. The way she said it, it was almost like she didn't even care at all about what I ate. I ate out, because that's what sick people do. She must have suspected that I was with Oishi-san. Anyway, I felt that if I hesitated or tried to change the subject, then they'd read too deep into it. So I tried answering as quickly as possible. Except, contrary to the efforts I had made, there was a pause before they replied. So you ate out for lunch, Keichii-kun. The glimmer from Rena's eyes has changed at some point as well. It was now sharp, as if to make me feel the feigned ignorance behind her words even more. As if she already knew. That's how it looked to me. Well, was it good? Why are you asking me this? Mion was speaking in an unusually low tone, almost as if she knew that I had eaten at the restaurant in town. No, I'm overthinking this. I mean, both of them should have been in school at lunchtime. There was no way they could have known where I was. Seems you were with a rather store-looking older guy. Who was he? How the heck do you know? Flop! The package with the mushi I was holding slipped out of my hands. I could tell the blood had drained from my face, making me go pale. Oh? Keichii-kun. Who was he? Could it be the person from before, I wonder? I wonder. I could feel the back of my throat going dry. This was no longer a bluff. They knew everything? How did you know that? It took everything I had to finally force those words from my throat. My knees were shaking. Because there's nothing this old man doesn't know. Is that why you call yourself an old man? Because you really are some old spirit? Demon! Get away! Mion sneered knowingly, and her laugh seemed to carry on forever. So, Kei-chan, what did you talk about? It seems like you got pretty worked up over it, too. Well, we were talking about you guys, you idiot Keichii. It didn't have anything to do with you or Rena. No, we weren't. Wait, I misread that. We weren't talking about you guys. It didn't have anything to do with you or Rena. Because that's exactly what someone says when they were actually talking about you guys. Isn't it a bit strange to hear our names come up, even though nobody asked about that? Rena's unwavering gaze pierced through my eyes and peered further inside me. I dug my own grave. My heart was throbbing so much It felt like it was going to explode. I guess my only luck is I got a whole year before the next festival, so I'm alive for that long. Well, whatever you're trying to hide, this old man already sees through it all. Remember that. I couldn't even shake my head. It took everything I had to stop my teeth from chattering. She never let her gaze break from mine, even as she tilted her head slightly. Keichii-kun. This is Rena. Keichii-kun, you don't look so good. I think you should lie down. That's true. We should both head back home. As if nothing had happened, they both giggled at each other and started making their way out. I hadn't moved a muscle since I had dropped the package of mochi. As they left, the door slowly closed behind them. All I could do was stare, as if I couldn't move until the door was completely closed. Just as the door was just about closed, it opened again slightly with a sudden creak, sending my heart racing once again. We should do take 2 on that so it sounds more ominous. Just as the door was just about closed, it opened again slightly with a sudden creak, sending my heart racing once again. A single eye peered in through the narrow slit, and Mion's hawkish gaze peered at me once again. See you, Keichii-chan. Yeah? I'd hate it if you missed school tomorrow. All right? Thud! The door closed. I wasn't able to move a muscle, even after their low laughter died off in the distance, and silence once again enveloped the room. Yes, you're right. That just about closed, or whatever, just as it was closing, just about closed, did not read right. Who's the proofreader on this game? Coming back to my senses, the first thing I did was lock the door. They knew what Oishi-san and I talked about. Why? How? No, that wasn't important. Thinking about it now, all of it could have been overheard from the beginning when Oishi-san met me. Just as Mion said, I couldn't hide anything. Then what were they trying to tell me? That part was obvious. They were warning me not to say anything unnecessary. What did they deem unnecessary? I only talked with Oishi-san about one thing, and they were warning me that that was unnecessary? Was it that Oishi-san talked to me about? What was it that Oishi-san talked to me about? The incident involving Oyashiro-sama's curse that occurred every year weren't individual cases, but were connected as a whole? As well as the fact that there might be multiple perpetrators hidden within Hinamizawa. No, more precisely, that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious. Is that what they are warning me against? But what kind of nonsense am I thinking about? I hit my own face hard enough that it let out a loud slap. If only that would wake me from this nightmare, but for some reason it felt like I was punching a blanket. It was almost laughably painless. Calm down, Keichii Mayabara. When did I become such a pessimist? Since I started hanging out with little demons disguised as girls. Sorry, big demons disguised as little girls. Calm down. Calm down. Settle down and sort things out. The reason Mion knew I was eating lunch with my Oishi-san was probably because somebody from Hinamizawa just happened to be there at the time. They must have told Mion that I was there, because everyone tells Mion everything. That made the most sense. Plus, come to think of it, she didn't ask me where I ate lunch, did she? She only asked, was it good? They were just curious since I was together with someone not from Hinamizawa. It's not as if they had any ulterior motives. That's it. That has to be it. Think about it that way. It was the same with Rena. I was just being strangely ambiguous about when I met with Oishi-san and Reina was just correcting me on that. That's when I was bewildered by the change in character from the usual mild-mannered Rena and was just startled by it. That's the most natural way about thinking about it. It felt like my mind was mixed up like a tangled mess of spaghetti. Drink pause. Okay. Deep red marinara sauce would have poured out of my nose and ears if you squeezed my head. Wouldn't that be blood? Thinking that, I suddenly felt like vomiting. I really didn't want that to happen, so I stopped holding my head. Lately, I had no idea what anyone was saying. Spending time with them was fun. Really? It didn't feel like there was any sort of hidden agenda. I really do think that they're a good bunch of people. When I just moved here and couldn't make heads or tails of everything, they were really kind to me. Yes, they're warming you up. I saw this B movie once called, was it 10,000 Maniacs or something like that was the name of it? And it was about this town that was really friendly to the visitors that came there. They had like a festival, but they were really luring them in to eventually kill them all in gruesome ways. And at the end, you find out the town appears like once every 1,000 years, and there's some legend about being killed or something like that. That's what this is. They're just making me feel like one of the gang, buttering me up. Then they're gonna kill me. Werner was really kind and always looked after me. As long as that strange affliction didn't rear its ugly head, she was really pretty cute. Mion is also a really good person. She didn't care about anyone's age or gender and was optimistic and outgoing. I was never bored when I was with her. And talking of not getting bored, rambunctious Satoko was a good person for that too. She was pretty bratty, but that was just the way she interacted with others. Rika-chan was the same way. She didn't speak often, but that didn't mean she was always silent. They're my friends. Better to keep you close. Better to make sure that you're not dying some other way, so they can chow down you at the next festival. But after hearing of the better untold secrets of Hinamizawa from Oishi-ran and Tomataki-san, when I was told about Oyashiro-sama's curse, things started going crazy. Then, hearing from Oishi-san that Mion, Reina, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious, after that, everyone changed. That's right. It all started getting weird after Oishi-san told me all that strange stuff. At that time, I really should have just not listened to those weird stories. And I even shouldn't have heard about the past incidents from Tomataki-san the night of the Watanagashi. If I had just hadn't gotten that strange sense of curiosity. If I just hadn't... That's right. So that's why they... killed Tomataki-san? That impudent outsider speaking to the likes of me after everyone went out of their way to keep it a secret from me. They'll probably kill Oishi-san as well? Are we, starring out the word kill? Is that like some bad word in Japanese? For trying to unearth what everyone was warning me was better left buried. Besides that, he was unforgivable for spewing words that made me doubt the others. Of course, a guy like that is going to be killed. Both Tomataki-san and Oishi-san were nothing but outsiders after all. They were entities who couldn't coexist with the people of Hinamizawa. Those guys should just fall to Oyashiro-sama's curse and just die. It wasn't their fault. It was my fault for not being able to hold back my curiosity. It wasn't their fault. 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 I settled into a daze. It was a lethargic feeling that I had just gotten up, but the ominous chill that haunted me had subsided. I was fine now. I was no longer frightened. I had completely recovered. I'll go to school tomorrow, right as rain. I'll greet everyone. I'll take part in club activities. It'll definitely be fun. It had to be fun. I was one of them after all. Ah, that reminds me. I need to eat those mochi. I hope I'm able to tell which one Rena made. I remembered the homework the two brought with them when they visited me. But wow, our club did delivery. That was something else. I picked up the package I dropped on the floor and headed into the living room. It would be nice, I guess, to have some tea with it. To fill my mouth with mochi while drinking tea? Oh, this was quite a delectable situation I was in. Opening up the newspaper wrapping, there were 5 plump red bean paste mochi fit snugly inside, and a story about murder printed on the paper. There were letters written from left to right on the newspaper. A, B, C, D, and E. Now then, they said Rena made one of these. I wonder which one. There wasn't much difference in how they looked. They smelled and appeared about the same. This was a pretty difficult problem. The biggest difference was probably their shape. I wasn't sure what kind of person Mion's grandma was, but Rena's had to be different from hers. Looking carefully, I could see one mushi that was made very neatly. So well that just by staring at it, one could tell it stood out. Looks like this challenge depends on whether or not this one is Rena's. Well, if there's only one different, calm down and think even harder. Mion had said her grandmother made a ton of them and was told to give some out, if I remembered correctly. So that meant 4 of these were from the large batch. Then what about Rena? She probably only made one. So she probably spent quite a bit of time on it. Meaning, the one Rena made was this one, E. For a moment, I thought it may have been a trap. Tripped me on late as she knew I'd pick up on it, but that probably wasn't the case. Sorry about that. I wouldn't be so sure if I knew Mion had made it, but since she said Rena made it, it probably wasn't a trap. All right, my tea is ready too. I'll start with the defending champ, Mion's grandma. Let's see. Not bad. The smooth bean paste and soft, chewy texture left little to be desired. The tea I drank afterward also accentuated the experience. This was an exquisite piece of work. Now, how about Rena's? The creation was so delicate, one would think it was a high-class Japanese dessert. Since I normally had quite the appetite, I was slightly worried about the size of the portion. But, well, first, a bite. This was quite a difficult one to judge, actually. The ingredients were exactly the same, so there was little difference in flavor. What was different was how it was shaped at the end, so it was to be expected. So the deciding factors would be presentation and volume. The well-formed and well-sized champion versus Rena, the challenger, with a size you just couldn't get enough of. I'd only had one bite of Rena's. I would probably have to wait until after I was done eating to make my decision. Maybe there was something hidden inside that can cause an upset. Chew, chew. Yeah. It seems my prediction was right. My tongue touched something. It didn't feel like something edible, so I reached in with my fingers and grabbed it. This better not be a razor blade. Oh, so help me if this is a razor blade. What? What was this? Before I could fully comprehend what it was, I threw away the rest of the mochi I was eating as fast as I could. It slammed against the wall, causing the bean jam to splatter. Then, after sticking for a moment, it slid down to the floor. I was dumbstruck by my own actions. What was I doing? Rena had gone out of her way to make it for me. How could I? Dumbstruck, I looked down at the hand that performed such a vile act. Then I remembered what I had taken out of my mouth. At first, I thought it was a hair. It's a worm. It's a freaking earthworm. Even though it was shorter than Mion's, Rena's hair was still quite long. And it wasn't this short. It was also a bit too hard to be a hair. It was thick enough to roll around on my tongue. Ooh! There was quite a bit of metallic sheen on one end of it. Ah, yes. There was a hole for where the thread goes through. It was like it was a sewing needle. I was close. Yeah, that's right. It looked very much like a sewing needle. Exactly like one. The end was pointed as well, quite sharply. It really did look just like a sewing needle. Huh? What did I mean by looked very much like a sewing needle just a bit ago? I couldn't answer, but a voice inside me already knew and let me know by chattering my molars together. I couldn't stave up the terror welling up inside of me. Suddenly, oh no, I tasted something metallic and felt a prickling pain at the back of my throat. I stuck my finger in the back of my throat and felt around to see if I was bleeding. Suddenly, I felt the urge to vomit. The sharp taste of bile irritated the back of my throat. I clasped both hands over my mouth, and writhing with agony, I was somehow able to hold back the nausea. I was finally able to breathe normally again, but this time my heart was intensely throbbing. Then it finally registered. Exactly what was mixed in with the mochi. Before I could think of the correct word, my hands were already on the move. Splat! Plop! Splort! I tossed the rest of the mochi against the wall. The geometrical patterns were scattered bean jam on the wall, suddenly invoked a terrible omen in my mind. After looking away, I dashed out to the hall and flew upstairs to my room, where I stayed under my covers until morning. I clutched my own shoulders, howling madly in a mix of fear, anger, sadness, and frustration. This wasn't a threat or a warning or a reminder, nothing as simple as that. What had happened in Hinamizawa? What is happening in Hinamizawa? What would happen? I didn't know the answer to any of those questions. Where did I break a taboo? Regardless, now Rena and Mion and others, they considered me an enemy. And they thought I should just die. I won't let you kill me. Not for such a pointless reason. I fell into a restless sleep as I was crushed by my negative emotions. It was as if I was being drawn into a billowing, bottomless marsh. Yay! Higurashi, When They Cry. Okay, let me just see if we have tips here. Oh, it's going off on its own. And if not, we're going to stop here anyway. Yes, you received new tips. What's a medicine that makes you commit suicide? Threat. Whew. Wow. Things are getting hot. Things are getting rough. Now the game is starting to pick up. Still not a game. Still it's just me reading. But it's getting interesting. View new tips. Let's see. Please, just be one. Yeah, here we go. What's a drug that makes you commit suicide? Let's cut to the chase. Is there a drug that causes someone to kill themselves? We already had this. Not directly, no. That's quite a roundabout response. You're saying there is one that does it indirectly? Something that puts you into a suicidal mental state like that. That's hard to say. I'm not sure who's talking yet. What would a suicidal mental state be? Like a person with a serious bipolar disorder. It's believed that people are most likely to attempt suicide when swinging from desperation to mania. Clinical depression and bipolar disorder are different. Clinical depression indicates a prolonged state of depression, whereas bipolar disorder is characterized by a passive depressed state accompanied by a very active manic state. Individuals with clinic depression suffer from low self-esteem and are quite pessimistic, but rarely commit suicide. They do not have the willpower to commit suicide, nor does mania on its own lead to suicide. That has an opposite effect, filling the person with confidence and making them feel as though they're walking on air. Thus, they do not commit suicide. That's interesting. Neither state causes suicide, but when the condition changes, they might do so. There is a desire to commit suicide when in a state of depression, but they do not have the willpower to commit such a formidable act. But when they enter mania, they gain a burst of willpower and their body moves to their desire. Okay, this is the police chief, Oyisha, talking to another person at the police station. This isn't Maebre-san. I see. So it means they gained the willpower to commit suicide? That's how it goes. That's why patients are given sedatives during that time to keep them from acting on their impulses. Or I got this reversed. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to read. Then, was Tomotaki-san bipolar? People who suffer from bipolar disorder generally commit suicide by more civilized means, like, say, hanging or jumping off a building. Self-harm, as though they're going through withdrawal, is completely different. Tomosaki's death wasn't civilized, so one would think it was caused by some foreign substance. As I said from the start, tell me of a drug that causes someone to commit suicide. There are reports that methamphetamine overdoses produce a condition that resembles bipolar disorder. It's a stimulant. Barbiturate overdoses are also reported to cause erratic behavior. That's a sleep aid. There were no sign of stimulants. Are there any other possibilities? All I can think of is that some sort of illness, something like Graves' disease, which affects the thyroid and is known to cause symptoms that resemble bipolar disorder. But Graves' disease has many characteristic symptoms of its own. The disease exhibited none of them. I wonder, is there something that could happen more spontaneously? Something that fits this case and would cause someone to want to commit suicide all of a sudden? Are you familiar with organic mental disorders? In short, it's a condition where the brain is out of whack due to physical injury or illness. It can be caused by drugs, but it can also be caused by physical trauma, encephalitis, a stroke, or even tumors. Basically, even without a drug, one can succumb to an irregular mental state. The deceased was surrounded after being chased, and his life was in danger, right? All that stress could have messed with his brain chemistry. He could have hit his head, and those factors combined might have caused him to mutilate himself. It's a possibility. Could you explain it to me in simpler terms? Basically, he knocked his noggin in the brawl, and it made him go haywire. Nah. Then his lady didn't have any intent to kill. Just smacked him in a bad place when he nicked some change. The two plump men laughed hoarsely. But of course, it's not like that. Ahem. Undoubtedly. If it was habitual drug use, it was something mental. The deceased's body holds the key. How are things on your end? Oh my goodness, look at the time. I need to get back soon or Kuma-chan will get angry with me. Yeah, good luck. Best wishes. Best wishes. So why do I get the feeling that in addition to telling a story, the author also felt it was a good time to do a PSA on various drugs and mental illness, just to let us know. Okay, what we got here? Threat. Okay, we're going to find out what was in these Mashi? Him again! Herm. Those guys just now. They had national diet badges. Then it's Prefectural Assembly member and City Councilor Sonozaki. That's interesting. The Prefectural Assembly member and the City Councilor are related. It's dirty is what it is. Shouting out each other's name during elections. While one is up for election, the other one holds an assembly, and they double up their campaign activities. Blatantly. I don't know much about this stuff, but isn't that against the rules of the election? As long as they have no prior consultation, there are no restrictions on their political activities. Again, I probably have these voices backwards. Kumashan, the investigation division is going to be pretty tough for you. You should at least brush up on election policies. I'm not suited for the intelligence division, 'cause I'm dumb. There was Prefectural Assembly member Shonozaki and City Councilor Sonozaki. Also, the mayor of Hinamizawa. All of them involved with the Sonozaki family. That's Mion's family. What a crap. Looks like they were seen off by the department chief and the deputy chief. It came to me. That night, when the chief invited me along to get some Odin, I thought that was it. You have a lot of connections, so you might have heard something, did you? Nope, not a thing. Ma'am, I'll take a tofu fritter and fish cake. Counselor barked at me in the police chief's stead. Oh my, is that so? Ma'am, I'll take another bowl. I don't know what I'm reading. Prefectural Assembly member Sonozaki and City Councilor Sonozaki were both intimidating. Or snot-nosed career police chief couldn't even handle being yelled at by them. They're like Yakuza. Yakuza. A petition with your name came up regarding how the investigation of the Hinamizawa incident is being handled. Goodness me, I've not the faintest. No need to play dumb. You're reopening the past cases regarding Hinamizawa, aren't you? I've already got my hands full with Tamataki's death, actually. Nah. Really? If that's true, then there's no problem. There was a period of silence. While we were silent, we made headway on our food and drink. Whew, that was quite the feast. This month has been a bunch of losses for me, so my wallet was really feeling the punch. Much appreciated. Nah, it's nothing. Tell me a good horse again. I'll bet on the same one as you. Nah, I haven't been doing well there lately. Haven't been able to read the horses at all. Taxi! I'm going by train. The police chief is taking a taxi. I have my own car, but I'd be rash to drive it home. Can't blow it right before retirement with a DUI. Even though he could still rattle off, it looked like his legs were already goo. Pushing him into the cab, I gave the driver the police chief's address. Well, see you again tomorrow. Happy New Year. Oishi-san? Yeah. The past incidents have all been closed. Stop lumping them all together. Those villagers half believe it's really a curse. Well, I'm not convinced. You're going to be retiring next year, aren't you? Weren't you going to pay off your mortgage with your pension and move up to Hokkaido with your mom? Mother pines to return to the land of her birth. It's the least I can do. And the pension, well, it'll be enough. It will let me enjoy myself in Susukino. Nah. The police chief may issue a special retirement salary raise, he says. A public service pension is calculated based on their monthly salary. So, if you were to get a raise right before the retirement, your bonus to your salary would be inflated, and you get a heavy surplus of funds. That tends to be how it's done around here. Of course, it's not a custom that's thought of highly. The difference between the bonus and the pension is quite a bit. I'd expect nothing less exemplary from our egghead chief. But, well, they say our salary is compensation for our hard work, but in the end, it really just has to do with the passage of time. That's not something I can laugh at, but I'll laugh through it anyway. I don't think it's anything exemplary, but given how hard you've worked, it's not odd that you're getting that much of a pension. I'd like to get that much myself. If I can get it, well, of course I'd want it. Nah. You'll get it. You're an adult after all. Sorry for holding you up here, driver. Thank you very much. I closed the door roughly, interrupting the chief's conversation a bit rudely. It looked like the chief still had something to say, but he just smiled wryly and waved. I waved in return. The cab sped gradually and soon disappeared among the sea of lights. Oh man, I wonder if I really can repay that loan. And that's the end. And we've been here for a little over 1 hour and 20 minutes. That last section was a little bit hard to read because it took me a while to figure out who was talking. But basically, there could be some city corruption going on. We know that the police suspect drugs were involved in Tamataki-san. He may have been mentally ill. I know the girls are out to kill me. I know that this game sometimes won't type the word kill or die, and other times it will type kill and die. Who knows? All these and many more mysteries will be solved in our next edition of Tev Plays Higurashi When They Cry Who. So, I am Terrence. I do solo role plays over at my website. That's Tev's Next Idea. You can find that at tevsnextidea.blogspot.com. I am about to wrap up my latest journaling game, Help. I have a crush on my rival. It's going pretty good. Just have a few more posts to make on that, and then I will be getting back into a tabletop role-playing game based on the Tunnels and Trolls system. So if you're interested, check that out. I also have a faith-based website, half-air.com, where I post some articles. Yes, as I say every week, I am a Christian who plays video games. And I'm going to change it up. I always say, if you're not, well, then what you may have heard about God may possibly not be correct. This week, I'm going to say, heck, if you are a Christian, what you've heard about God may possibly not be correct. And I urge you to get some good resources and look up. Yes, God does created us to live a certain way, but he also created us to treat others who don't believe like us with respect, with love. Supposed to treat them like ourselves. And you know what? We just don't do that a lot. And that's really sad. So thanks for watching. Check out my other sites, and I will see you next time. Might be Saturday, might be later. There is no real schedule with this site. It's just whenever I have time. So, for Tev's Next Idea, thanks for watching. Good night.